What's up everyone, this is FP Sticks bringing you some more Go Battle League battles here in the Great League, and in today's video I wanted to try running a team with SAMUROTT. SAMUROTT in the Great League is rated very highly on PvPoke, but I have seen it on hardly any teams, so I wanted to give it a shot for myself, and in this team I chose to run it as the safe swap Pokemon. I'm running Shadow Dusclops in the lead, and then SAMUROTT on the safe swap, and then Lapras in the back running Psywave. You can see the movesets and the IVs on the screen there. Let me know down in the comments what teams you've been enjoying using in the Great League, and let's jump right into these battles. In some of these battles, SAMUROTT did a lot, and in some of them, it really felt like Lapras was the MVP here. But Fury Cutter able to get to charge moves very quickly, and having Mega Horn as a nice nuke against any grass types is pretty great. My opponent led with the Talonflame, and they stayed in so long that I was able to pressure that first shield with the Hydro Cannon. I will shield up the Brave Bird in response. Out comes an Azumarill, and I'm hitting for resisted damage with the Fury Cutter here. So this is one case where Shadow Feraligatr arguably is better in this position than SAMUROTT for this Azumarill matchup here, because the Shadow Claws hit for neutral. The resisted Fury Cutter is just brutal against the Azumarill. So I hard pivot back into my Dusclops to absorb some energy here. And I'm assuming they're going to go into their Talonflame at some point. We actually force the CMP tie here, and they let that go through. I will shield this up because I have stored energy on my Dusclops. And out comes the Talonflame again, so I will throw one Hex and then queue up my Shadow Punch. It does connect on the Talonflame, and they are able to take out my Dusclops here. The Fury Cutter is double resisted on this Talonflame, but Hydro Cannon would easily be able to one-shot this thing. So over farming a little bit there and seeing what they want to do. If they end up committing their second shield, they do, and then they throw. So that is the nice thing about SAMUROTT, is it really pressures shields. Gonna bring out my Lapras, and I have to just farm this thing all the way down and hope that I can have play against something in the back. They go for a Fly instead of a Brave Bird. Totally fine by me because I'm committing to the farm down here. They might have thought that I was gonna throw a Sparkling Aria. In the back is a Diggersby, and I knew that they were going to try to catch, so I farmed them all the way down here. I go for one Sparkling Aria. And this thing is very healthy, so I actually go for an Ice Beam thinking that this might do a little bit more damage. And it does. I'm barely able to Psywave down the Diggersby and take that game. Good game. Dusclops into Cloudsire, pretty favorable for Dusclops because the Poison Stings are resisted. My opponent goes immediately into the Cradily, and I do not have a great response to this, so I'm going to chip it with an Ice Punch. I do get a shield. Now the Fury Cutters from SAMUROTT will hit for super effective damage, and the Hydro Cannons would hit for neutral. The Mega Horn would hit for a lot of super effective damage. But I'm in an awkward scenario now where Cradily can also hit me for super effective damage with the Grass Knot. So I had to chip this a little bit lower to get it into Hydro Cannon range to try to pace with it. This is a pretty neutral matchup all around. However, the Lapras does have to go for Skull Bash, where I can just go for the Mega Horn and get there before the Lapras gets to the Skull Bash. They do go for the Skull Bash. I thought they were going to try to bait me there, but unfortunately I called that incorrectly. So now we have a boosted Lapras that is really going to be a problem for my team. I'm going to chip it with this Dusclops and then try to catch a resisted move on my own Lapras, but they don't throw. Now they could bait me and potentially get to a Skull Bash here, but I will shield this up, and they end up just going straight for the Skull Bash. Thank goodness we shielded that up. Farming here, going to throw the Sparkling Aria and hope that it's enough to take out the Lapras or be able to farm it down. It is just enough to knock it out. Out comes a Cloudsire, and again, I'm kind of thinking, should I go double Sparkling Aria here, or should I try to throw an Ice Beam? but because the side waves are also hitting for super effective damage, I figure I'm just going to go for 2 Sparkling Arias plus the fast move damage, take out the Clodsire without it getting to a move. Out comes Credilli once again, and I'm able to get to another Sparkling Aria. So Lapras really putting in a lot of work in this matchup. If I would have shielded up the Skull Bash on my Samurott, it would have been able to put in a good amount of work as well. Okay, another awkward lead, but they end up immediately switching into a Drifblim, and now they're behind energy and also getting hit for super effective damage. So I'm just opting to stay in here. They end up shielding that first move. They're always going to Icy Wind me here, but I kind of have to shield it. Going to throw this Shadow Punch. The Fury Cutters would be double resisted against the Drifblim, so I have to go into my Lapras here and put it in range where Sparkling Aria could potentially knock this out. Gonna no-shield this move. They do go for the nuke of Shadow Ball, so good play on their part. But I still have a Unova Stunfisk I need to deal with, which can hit super effective damage on both of my water types in the back. Able to get to the Sparkling Aria though. Lapras once again putting in a lot of work here. Sometimes Samurott does better just sitting on the bench and cheering from the sidelines, but in some of these later games it does have a lot more play. They catch on a Talonflame. They were getting pretty desperate at this point, just trying to preserve their lead Pokemon, especially since their shields were down. So this is looking very good for us. We shield up the fly. I farm up a little bit more, and then I'm going to throw another Hydro Cannon. I'm very close to a second Hydro Cannon, so let's see what they want to do here. Out comes the Stunfisk, and I do catch this move immediately on my Dusclops. I'm hoping I can reach Charge Move before they farm me down, and I am able to get to this Ice Punch to knock out that Stunfisk and take the game there. Good game. Lapras definitely putting in a lot of work there. You can see my rating there. I'm around the 2400 rating range during these battles. Gligar in the lead. This is favorable for us for sure because the Fury Cutters are resisted. Ice Punch is going to hit for double super effective damage if they let this go through. They caught on their Drapion. Really nice play. But now I can safely go into my Samurott, and one Hydro Cannon is definitely going to be threatening to them. I figured they were going to go straight for the Crunch, and they do, so I correctly shield that up. Bad timing on my part. I let an entire Poison Sting go through, but they let their Drapion go, and now this Hydro Cannon is going to be very threatening to the Gligar. I do get my shield back there, which is really good for me. I feel like I might even survive this dig, so I will let it go through, and I do barely survive, but then they snipe me down with a Lapras. Really nice play. I'm going to bring in my Dusclops, and again, I want to potentially try to catch a resisted move on my Lapras, especially since my Lapras is not running Skull Bash, so in the mirror matches, it's very awkward. I chip it with another Shadow Punch. I try to catch there, it does not work, and I feel like they were going straight for the Skull Bash here. I end up no-shielding that first one, but at this point, it's unlikely that they're going to be able to reach another Skull Bash, so I just need to stay outside of a health range where a move from the Lapras would knock me out. I'm able to get to the Sparkling Aria and farm this down, and at this point, fast moves are just going to be able to win the game for me. No matter what this Lapras throws, we're looking really good and should be able to fast move everything down. And I think at this point, my opponent just concedes the match because there's no win con there. Good game. All right, Dusclops into Dedenne. Our team, it really struggles against Dedenne, and we definitely want to see it in the lead. Out comes a Blastoise safe swap, and I am so slow to the response here. Really big misplay on my part. I do correctly shield up a Skull Bash, but this Blastoise is going to get out of control here. Running Rollout as the fast move. Poor timing on my part. I let an entire Rollout go through. They shield up the Mega Horn. Things are going very, very poorly for us. And when shields go down, that Dedenne is going to ruin my life. Now there's a case to be made that I should be baiting on this charge move right here, feeling like they might take you to the 2-shield scenario, but they let it go through. Thank goodness. I am now down a shield, and out comes Dedenne. I'm most likely going to get my shield back, and then I need to try to aggressively... the fact that they let this go through, okay, that match... that match was a huge surprise to me when that ended up happening to me on the stream. I feel like my opponent might have been frustrated with the secondary matchup and conceded the game, or they had to take off. So sometimes in Go Battle League, you get very lucky, and that was one of those games because that little electric mouse rat thing was going to ruin my life. Galarian Corsola here in the lead. And this thing is very, very bulky. Somewhat of a neutral matchup against the Dusclops though, so I'm just going to let this go down. This would be a very awkward Fury Cutter farm down because it'd be resisted, so I'm going to go into my Lapras and Psywave down the Corsola. Able to do that without getting hit from a charge move. I think they were trying to commit to the Power Gem. Out comes a Pidgeot. I'm not going to mess around here. I'm just going to go straight for the Ice Beam. They do end up shielding that, but because of all that energy I had, I'm able to get to an Ice Beam before they can even reach a charge move. This is most likely going to one-shot the Pidgeot. Down goes Pidgeot. In the back is a Kanto Marowak, so all I need to do is reach a Hydro Cannon and it would demolish that Marowak there. Good game. Dusclops into Shadow Dragonite. The Dragon Breath fast move damage is very, very oppressive from Dragonite, but we do outpace. They're really farming up here, so I'm just going to throw a Shadow Punch and see what they want to do. They end up shielding that, and I couldn't tell if this was a CMP tie or just desync. And luckily it was not a CMP tie, so I'm able to farm up even more. Going to throw another Shadow Punch here and see what they want to do. They do shield that. And they could end up catching on something, so I'm just going to let this go through, bring in my Lapras to safely farm this down, but they pivot into their Shadow Primeape. They still have the Dragonite I have to deal with, but they have no shields. I will shield up this move. I thought they might be going for a close combat, but no, it was just a Rage Fist, but I want to get rid of this Primeape. Hydro Cannon, able to knock it out. Out comes the Dragonite again. I need to reach this Hydro Cannon before they get to Dragon Claw, and we're able to get there. Down goes the Dragonite. What is in the back? It is a Drapion, and SAMUROTT so fast, able to force the CMP tie against this Drapion. Gonna hit for a lot of neutral damage, and at this point, this is pretty much good game. SAMUROTT actually put in a lot of work in this matchup. They undercharged that Crunch because they wanted to be able to farm me down for more energy, but we are able to take that. Good game. Dusclops into a Shadow Drapion. Not good at all. Gonna go immediately into the SAMUROTT and see what they want to do. So it's looking like we get to our charge moves at about the same pace if they're going for Crunch. Luckily, they did not bait there. Poor timing on my part on this move. This actually allows them to be ahead on energy and makes this matchup very, very awkward now, because now they are outpacing me to the Crunch. But one-turn moves against two-turn moves, I always feel like are kind of awkward to time, especially when there's like frame drops happening and it's difficult to keep track of the fast moves, especially when the animations are a little bit behind. So not great. Shields are down. They have switch advantage. Gonna bring in my Dusclops because I know I can reach a Shadow Punch before they get to something, but they end up saving their Drapion and catching on Diggersby. I'm going to store some energy before swapping out. And then I'm gonna swap into my Lapras. And again, this is kind of an awkward scenario where it's like, do you go for the Ice Beam or do you go for 2 Sparkling Arias here? I'm just gonna go for 1 Sparkling Aria and see how much damage this does. But potentially Ice Beam plus Farm Down might have been the play here. Diggersby is fairly quick at getting to these Scorching Sands, so I don't want to mess around and overfarm. Just going to reach another Sparkling Aria to safely take out the Diggersby. I still have a Drapion to deal with. They're already double strong against Dusclops, and out comes a Galarian Moltres. this is pretty much over for me. They are triple strong against Dusclops. So they really do not enjoy. They got really sick of seeing Dusclops and built a team that was triple strong to it. So good game. They're going to be able to take this. Dusclops unfortunately had nowhere to go. Dusclops into Dragalge. They're going to be hitting for neutral with that dragon, or they're actually running Acid as the fast move, so resisted damage. And this was such a terribly played game on my part. These battles were done during my Twitch live stream, and oftentimes when I'm streaming, I'm not very good at keeping track of energy and staying focused on the battles because I'm reading chat and getting distracted a lot. So they didn't even build up enough energy to the outrage, but I still shielded it anyways, even though if I would have been counting, I would have known it was an Aqua Tail. Same with this move right here. They're just going straight for the Aqua Tails, and because I am not playing very well and focusing on the energy, I am committing shields. Now, if they throw a close combat here, I'm hoping that I barely survive it. But they go for a Rage Fist and then are probably going to reach a second Rage Fist here, which I think I barely survive and should be able to get to the Hydro Cannon. Barely survive that, able to reach the Hydro Cannon, and I'm hoping that this is enough to knock out the Primeape here. Barely not enough, but we're able to Fury cut her down. We do have switch advantage, and in the back is a Jellicent. Luckily, I do have my Dusclops, and I'm able to reach a Shadow Punch. But they win the CMP here. This is just a Surf, and we do survive that. So they just wanted to get some chip damage off, and then Lapras going to bring this out, get a jump start on energy. And this will be a Shadow Ball, but I want to farm up as much as I possibly can. I have to throw here. I don't want to get hit by any more energy from this Jellicent. Let's see what Lapras can do in the back here. Out comes the Dragalge. Once again, we're able to get to the Sparkling Aria and take that game there. Good game. Lapras, once again, putting in work. If you have not tried out Lapras with Psywave, it is so much fun. I have two water types in the back, so I immediately go into SAMUROTT. Once again, they're opting to stay in here. I could have done a couple more Fury Cutters. Bad timing on my part yet again. They end up shielding that. And I will shield in response. They go straight for the Brave Bird. And once again, an Azumarill comes out. But you can see after that Incinerate damage, this like pretty much puts me into like Play Rough plus Bubble Down range, which is very awkward. Resisted Hydro Cannons, resisted Fury Cutters. I end up shielding this, and I'm going to try to bank some energy for the end game and see what they want to do. I throw another Hydro Cannon here, and then I might store a Hydro Cannon and swap into my Lapras. That's what I end up doing. I want an energy head start with this Lapras to see what they want to do. The Play Rough, not too big of a deal. Out comes Talonflame again. I need to get some damage off on this thing. They immediately threw Brave Bird on my SAMUROTT, though. And they queue up their move right before I get to another Sparkling Aria, so really good timing on their part. The Fly takes me out. I have a Hydro Cannon banked on SAMUROTT, but to be honest, at this point in time, I didn't know who was going to win CMP. But I throw the Hydro Cannon. I have a lot of energy still banked on the SAMUROTT. Out comes the Azumarill once again. I'm hoping that they're right inside of Hydro Cannon range, and then potentially I can land some damage on whatever they have in the back. Down goes the Azumarill, and in the back is a Dusclops. I want to throw this Hydro Cannon as soon as possible, and then swap to my own Dusclops to be able to reach a Shadow Punch. Just in case this thing was running Poltergeist, I wanted to move quickly to avoid getting hit by that move. Thank you everyone so much for watching. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you appreciate the content. Let me know if you've ever tried out SAMUROTT in the Great League and how it went for you, and I will see you in the next battles.